What are hymns? And why is it worth singing them as a church? Aron and I have been on a journey of rediscovering, refreshing, and sometimes reinventing some epic old hymns so that we could sing them together as a church. We've tried doing this with several amazing old hymns that have fallen by the wayside. And each week, we'll pick one, discuss it, and sing our take on it. We'll also be taking a close look at the hymn writer of old who originally wrote the hymn. You're listening to Hymnology 101. We hope you enjoy. Hello and welcome to a new podcast. It's Hymnology 101, and you're listening to me, Sam.
And me, Aron.
Yes, we've been looking forward to do this for a while. It's great to be doing this with you. A new pod about hymns. Mm-hmm. What are we thinking? Why are we doing this? What is Hymnology 101?
Well, it's kind of been inspired by, I think, a journey we've been walking together for the last couple of years, I think, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
Thinking about what we're singing as a church, what's good to sing, and just kind of exploring what's out there. Yeah, I think we got together and I'd read these lyrics. It was about 2.5 years ago now, wasn't it? And I thought, those are great lyrics. Wonder what they would sound like to a new tune. And we put a tune together.
Yeah. And
then from that, then you wrote the new tune to Christ is One, which is Martin Luther's lyrics.
Yes, Christ the Lord and death bonds lay.
That's the one.
That's the...
yeah. So it's come from there, really. It's just discovering
borrowed.
These kind of old lyrics.
Yeah.
And seeing that they're so rich and full of scripture and full of Jesus. And thinking, we need to do something with these, otherwise they're going to just...
Yeah. How are these lying around? It's like finding treasures, and maybe you need to, but we need to dust them off, and we need to maybe, or like, I don't know, or you buy a new house, like in our church, Chris and Amy have bought a house, but we need to get rid of some stuff maybe, and we need to put in some new brickwork or some painting or something to make it presentable and livable in.
Exactly.
But it's still that old house. I think it's a bit like that, isn't it? With
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and the majority of it is the same. It's just it's usually just the melody that needs a bit of refining or even just scrapping. Yeah. But the words predominantly are the same, and they're just full of what we need to hear as a church. So
exactly, yeah. So because we've tried to refresh or renovate some old hymns. So I think throughout this season of podcasts or series, we'll talk about a different hymn and really focus on the hymn writer as well, who wrote that hymn. Yeah. And then I've convinced you, I think, that at the end of each podcast, after this introduction one, we'll sing what we've tried to do. So sometimes it'll be quite different, a new melody with a chorus, and we change some of the lyrics. Sometimes it'll just be, actually the same melody and the same words, but there might be something slightly different to it. But that's what we're trying to do. And we've tried writing original songs or hymns as well. Yeah. But really, like, inspired by what these guys were trying to do. So I think we thought it would be just good to chat about, and maybe some people will be interested in it as well. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully people will be interested. I think a lot of people sing. We sing a lot of hymns in church anyway, but people might not necessarily think that's an old hymn or these are old lyrics.
Well, yeah, it'd be interesting actually. I think if maybe both of us just talked about, we've both grown up going to church, different churches and stuff like that. What's been our interaction with singing in church and church songs? What sort of songs have we been exposed to? And then how have we got to this point, right, where we now really like hymns and doing this sort of thing? So what was your experience of singing growing up in church? Did you like singing in church? What sort of songs would you sing?
I didn't like singing in church.
No.
But that was probably my problem. I didn't like my voice, or I was shy, so I didn't like it. But
yeah,
also maybe the songs that I grew up singing didn't really inspire me or even like make me want to sing.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it was just surface level stuff.
Okay.
It wasn't really stuff which was penetrating my heart, and what I needed to hear. So a lot of the lyrics was, like I said, surface level and average sort of melody.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't want to, name songs.
Check. No, we're not going to check anything, are we? But it wasn't like you thought, wow, that song has really helped me. And it's good that you say that. Like maybe that's as much to do with you, right, as anything.
Whereas
so was that what sort of church were you going to? What sort of style were the songs?
So obviously, I didn't grow up in it was more of a, I don't know, charismatic Pentecostal church.
Okay.
So it was a Pentecostal church.
Yeah.
And it was just a mixed bag of songs, really. Most of them were just modern.
Okay.
Probably written within a 10-year,
Sure.
10-year kind of period.
Of when you're singing
of
it.
when
So
you were
yeah.
singing it, yeah. So they were quite
So
new
you were probably
songs.
singing 90s songs.
90s songs.
I wouldn't wish that on many people.
Not many. Yeah, it was. It just was quite recent songs, and I think it's maybe because people didn't know about the older stuff, or maybe were reacting against the kind of old traditional church sort of way of doing worship.
Yeah.
So they weren't selecting or picking older hymns or older songs.
Well, let me ask you this then. When can you remember was the first time you were singing maybe in church and you thought, wow, this song, like I'm experiencing Jesus speaking to me as we sing this together. Have you had, do you remember a time where you were like, that's happening right now?
Yeah, I do. It was at camp.
Cool.
EMW camp. So Evangelical Movement of Wales.
Do you remember the song?
Yeah, Before the Throne of God. Above.
Wow. Brilliant. Well, I've got, that's for me as well, the same song.
Yeah.
That's cool. But yeah. But go on,
it was just,
how old are you then?
I don't know, I was probably about 12, 13.
Yeah.
And I was singing it, and obviously the melody's great.
Yeah.
And the lyrics were just so deep and so meaningful. And I was like, wow, we don't sing this sort of stuff back in my home church.
Home church, yeah.
So that's when I started really realizing actually there's songs out there which have really good, rich lyrics. And it doesn't need to be, boring.
No.
It's actually, full of life.
Well, that's interesting, that song, and I didn't know that about you. Actually, I haven't asked you that before.
We didn't talk about that. No,
because for me, the first time I remember anyway, really thinking, "Oh my goodness!" Like I understand what Jesus has done for me as I'm singing.
Yeah,
was in Gabalfa singing Before the Throne of God Above.
Wow.
Just, Naomi, one of our members, playing the piano and two singers.
Yeah.
Really just, basic, but the congregation singing that song.
Yeah.
And I was like, because the way that song unfolds is it's like a bit like, because this happened, therefore this.
Yeah.
And so this. And it's like, I just followed the line of argument in that song. And it's like, because the sinless Saviour died, my sinful soul is counted free. Like, why is that? For God the just was, I forgot where it goes.
It's like you're speaking to yourself.
Yeah.
Why? So you're teaching yourself, doctrine while singing.
Yes.
Whereas, growing up, majority of the songs were just praise songs, which are great, but, you're missing a lot there if you're just singing praise.
Sure.
Because, there's, we need to sing about what we believe and
what's
why
the
we believe
reason
it.
for our praise. Yeah, no, that's
who
good.
God is, who Jesus is, what he's done.
But Before the Throne of God Above is a great example of the thing that we've begun to try and do, right? Because those words are written by, I think, Charles Lee Bancroft, old hymn, 1800s, I think.
Yeah.
And then a couple of guys, Vicky Cook and Steve Cook from Sovereign Grace Music, picked up those lyrics
and put a new melody
said,
to it.
the tune that I sung this too. It doesn't really fit. And they come up with this new tune that now everyone assumes was always the tune.
Yeah.
But it's actually
not,
from the 90s. I think that is one from the 90s, which is brilliant, And what other songs do we sing like that are in Gabalfa in our church that are old hymns, but we sing new melodies? Not that we've done it, just others.
I think in the big one, I think is "He'll Hold Me Fast."
Oh yeah, that's a brilliant song. Yeah,
that's a quite recent new melody, actually.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Put to the hymn by Matt Merker.
Yes,
Capital Baptist Church.
Yeah, he's come up with that melody, hasn't he?
Yeah, he came up with the melody, but the words are original.
Yeah,
to an old
hymn. Yeah.
And
I think I've looked into it a bit. The last verse of till our faith is turned to sight, when he comes at last, that verse, I think he added those last verse.
Okay. Yeah.
But the others are original.
Original, yeah.
Because he obviously just thought, maybe it'd be good to go that one extra step with this song, and that's cool, isn't it? But yeah, that melody, again, people will just assume in years to come.
Yeah. Oh, that's just the original melody, but it's not. It just fits perfectly because Matt Merker obviously thought long and hard about the music and the melody to go with it.
Yeah.
And thought that the old one doesn't really serve its purpose anymore for whatever reason. But this melody fits better. So
brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's good because I think, my experience is probably quite similar to you. I went to various churches growing up, sung all sorts of different songs, really. And I remember going to Soul Survivor. And one thing was, I loved those songs. It was basically Hillsong were going through like a sort of pop punk phase.
Yeah,
do you remember?
I remember that.
Yeah. Late, so I did like 2007 and 8 and 9 and stuff like that. And that's what we'd sing. And I was like, oh, this is so great. But then the idea that my church back home's band could pull it off with that production was never going to happen, right?
Yeah.
So then I think I've always gone between. This is where I was at coming to Gabalfa. I was like, I think hymns are boring, old fuddy-duddy ones. I think these new worship songs are a little superficial and cheesy, a bit like Busted, right? But, like Year 3000, but with Christian sort of words.
I'm not ashamed of the gospel, Lord.
Yeah, that sort of, and
Sorry,
I was like...
I mean, that's a great song. I still really like it.
No, that's the thing. Like, these songs are enjoyable, but like, there seemed to be no middle ground. I think that's what I felt. Like, is it possible to have... yes, I don't know, like something that speaks deeply like the old hymns do, but, they feel alien as well, it's a problem. Or something with a modern, fresh sound. I don't know, I couldn't find any. And then there's probably 2 songs in Gabalfa I loved, and it was Before the Throne of God Above and In Christ Alone. Yeah. Okay. And I didn't really know what these songs were. I just knew when we sung them, I loved them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so... I think our opinions have changed, right? At
different stages, obviously.
Yeah, I think so. Probably you first. You've always gone on to me about... Well, I feel like you've always gone on to me about hymns.
It was relatively, it wasn't long before I came to uni, really. Well, 12, 13. Yeah, maybe it just
2012, 2013, is that what you're saying?
No, I was 12, 13 when I started singing.
Oh, right. I mean, that's young.
At the, EMW camps. And then, obviously, I was 17, 18 when coming to uni.
Yeah.
But it was really then that I was like, right, I'm going to... Yeah. I think, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I started thinking more about it around that time.
Sure, okay, yeah.
And then just falling in love with the old hymns about that time when I came to uni, so...
Because when we did the apprenticeship here in church at the same time, and one thing Lee asked me to take on was the music... Yeah, which I was like, oh wow, that's a huge responsibility. And I felt in myself like physically I could sing the songs that we sing as a church, but I knew nothing about what songs should we sing in church and stuff like that. And I think I talked to you a bit about it, and you basically went about finding lots of different songs on Spotify, and you've made this massive playlist that you just put on in the background. And then certain songs caught my ear a lot that year. And they were either old hymns, just someone had done a modern arrangement. Yeah. Or they were new hymns that basically where the songwriters are just inspired by old hymn writers.
Yeah.
I was like, I think these songs are that middle ground,
yeah,
a sort of sweet spot of rich words that I was like, I want us to sing those words.
Yeah.
But also these melodies are rousing and singable, and they're catchy, but they're not sort of stupid and cheesy either.
No, they affect your emotions.
Yeah.
But because of the richness of the words and also how the melody kind of complements it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. One thing I think we need to address, right? Hymnology 101 is the podcast. What is a hymn? Aron, is there an answer to that question? We're talking about hymns, but do we even know what we're talking about? Is there an answer to that? What is a hymn?
I mean, we've said the word hymn quite a lot already.
Yeah. Wow.
And I think when a lot of people hear that word, and I think even when we're using it now, we're thinking old words and maybe old melody.
Yeah.
Something of the past.
Yes, yeah.
That's what people think of when they hear the word hymn.
Can you mean hymn and it be a song written in 2021 then?
Yes.
Yes, right. So you're saying it's not just an old song written for the church?
No.
A song written for the church many years ago, I mean.
No. And it's because the Bible obviously...
Yeah, does the Bible define a hymn? It mentions...
It doesn't define a hymn, it just mentions hymns.
Yes, okay.
Within the context of, speaking to one another and admonishing one another with the words of Christ.
Yeah.
By singing psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs. So it's in the context of church worship and church life alongside psalms. And then something else called spiritual songs. But, Paul doesn't go, and these are the distinctions.
Yes, yeah. Would have been cool if he'd done that. But but no, it's actually it's cool that he hasn't, in a sense, because that there is freedom for movement here. It's not a very narrow thing. It's like
no, and some of the psalms are actually called hymns as well.
Yes, yeah, that's true.
And I think it's really hard, and people have argued for years and centuries over what exactly does the word hymn mean.
Yeah,
obviously the psalms, the 150 that we have in Scripture, are what God has given us to sing, so that's why we should sing them. But I think hymns historically have come out of the Psalms as things that were inspired by the content of the Psalms, what the Psalms are trying to say, and how they speak of Jesus, and how they also are the words of Jesus as he sings to the Father, as he sings on the cross, as he sings over the church.
Yes, yeah.
And so hymns have come out of that, and hymn writers over the years, from the 1st and 2nd centuries, all the way to the 21st century, have predominantly been inspired by, what the Psalms say.
Yes.
So if you think of examples, A Mighty Fortress is Our God, Martin Luther.
Yeah, is really a psalm, isn't
Psalm
it?
46.
46, yeah. That's cool.
A Christmas one, a Christmas carol, or Christmas hymn, Joy to the World.
That's a psalm, is it?
Yeah, it's Psalm 98.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but you can check it up later.
We'll check it out later. Yeah, that's cool, though.
Yeah,
okay.
so Isaac Watts is reading Psalm 98, and he's going, oh, man, I want to sing a song about Jesus' birth through this psalm. Because that's what the psalm's talking about here.
Yeah, okay, class.
Yeah.
Because we sing, this is another old hymn, new melody. Indelible Grace Music do a lot of, that's their thing, isn't it? Picking up old hymns and putting new melodies to them. Hail to the Lord's Anointed is one we sing here, which is a Sandra McCracken sings on it. And but that's Psalm 72, I believe. Yeah.
Another one which is famous based on that psalm is oh man, it's just gone from my head. It's Wesley one.
Don't worry about it. It's gone.
It'll come to me later.
This is the problem.
Yeah.
There's too many.
Yeah, too many.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So what we've tried to do basically is, you would send me sometimes hymn lyrics, haven't you? And these are great. And sometimes I've just read them and sat on them for a while, and then me or you have tried to come up with a melody sometimes, or sometimes you say, I think that the melody, we could stick with it. But we've just given ourselves the challenge of how would we sing this in our church? What needs to happen? Because we love these words. What would need to happen for it to get to a point where we could say to Lee, our pastor, hey, we've actually got this. It could serve the church. So hopefully in the coming podcasts, I think we've got like 8 down here. I think we've done a few more than that. 8 old hymns that we've sort of tried to refresh. And we'll talk about the hymn writer, we'll talk about the hymn itself, we'll talk about the musical stuff that we've done, the things we thought we wanted to keep, any things we wanted to change. And then we'll sing pretty roughly and acoustically just the song, which Aaron's really looking forward to, which will be good fun. And you're going to basically be the brains on the history. I'm the ignorant one here that will be asking all the questions.
Yeah, I'll try.
But we're both beginners. Like, we need a Hymnology 101, really.
Yeah, definitely.
I
think it's important to note as well, because we're doing this within the context of our church, isn't it?
Absolutely,
we want people in our church to sing stuff which is full of, rich content.
Yeah.
And things which are going to help them. Things which are going to be helpful day to day, things that people can sing when they're at work or at school.
Yeah.
And I think it's important just to remember that hymns, in the historical sense, were written for that purpose in the first place.
Yeah.
And so most of the hymns that we do sing already, or which we will introduce or will encounter as we do this podcast, are hymns which have been written by pastors or people involved in, the local church. It's never like outside of that.
No, I know. Yeah. It's always with the thoughts of there are these people who I love and care for here, and I want them to have real rich food.
Yeah, exactly.
And the means of singing, it's a means of remembering words, isn't it? Like you learn words much better if you have a melody that's memorable. Yeah. It's good that, and I think we'll dig more into that as we look at these old hymn writers and who they were. That does become apparent, which is really cool, isn't it? And because we look back at these ancestors of ours, these Christian ancestors, with a lot of respect, don't we? We think there was insight they had that maybe in our generation we've lost a bit, and we want to look up to them, not look down on them. And what is it they knew? What was it we can learn from them? Because when you look at the words they wrote, it's like, man, they're onto something that I'm not.
They're just reading the scripture. They're just reading the Psalms,
and it's flowing out into their songs.
And they're thinking about the people they're writing the words for as well.
It's very pastoral, aren't they? Hymns?
Like Martin Luther, Wesley, and Isaac Watts, who we've already mentioned. All 3 of them are pastors.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've just remembered
the psalm.
That psalm.
Go on.
Or the song based on the psalm.
Psalm 72.
Jesus shall reign wherever the sun.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, so that's based
brilliant.
on, But anyway,
I think that's it. I think that hopefully that's a bit of an introduction. Next one, we'll dig in. It'll be the first proper one. We'll dig into. I won't tell you who it is. You can tune into the next one, and we'll see our first hymn writer and song, and we'll do a little bit of singing as, which will be fun.
Yeah,
cool.
And then maybe, maybe we won't have any more listeners after that.
Yeah, I know. After we've actually sung, we're like, oh, they don't know anything, these guys.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. See you on the next podcast.